Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show.
Welcome, comrades, to our reviewings of The Death of Stalin.
Now please to be standing for Soviet National Anthem.
So, yeah. We saw The Death of Stalin finally.
Yep. So we're gonna review it.
Yep.
Spoiler free.
Yeah, so, well, alright, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Niall.
And I'm Nolan. Comrade Nolan.
Comrade. Well, I'm Comrade Colonel Niall. So, like you said, we're gonna do a spoiler-free review. So, you don't have to worry about any of that. And then we're going to give you a spoiler warning and go into it a little more in depth. Like we like to do. It's our thing. It's what we do.
Yep.
We follow a formula on this show. We're sticking to it.
Yeah, otherwise, chaos.
Bedlam.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, The Death of Stalin.
Which we've been anticipating for some time.
Was amazing.
Yep.
Oh man, it was worth the wait.
Yeah, I've been looking forward. I picked up the graphic novel is based on
A while ago.
I don't know, 6 months ago or more.
Yeah.
And it was the printing that they made after the movie was
Announced.
So it said, the inspiration for the film. So that was the first I'd heard of it, and so I was after reading that, I was incredibly interested in the movie.
So, Nolan and I, for one thing, we enjoy ourselves a good dark comedy, and this is definitely that. For another thing, though, we love poking fun at Cold War era Soviet Union, like height of the Cold War era Soviet Union, and the bureaucracy, and the infighting, and just the ridiculousness of its leadership and how everything functioned.
And that's what this movie is.
Yeah, that's part of why I love Dr. Strangelove. To me, it's so funny. The real world Soviet Union, how it happened, how it functioned, is incredibly. I mean, look, I can look back on it. I was born after the fall of the Soviet Union, so I can look back on it and go, "This is ridiculous and funny."
Yeah, in hindsight, I mean, it's horrifying if you lived it.
I'm sure.
But in hindsight, it's how could anything function as long as it did like this?
Yes. So
just sheer force of will, I guess.
Yeah, as the title suggests, this is about the events around the death of Stalin, of Joseph Stalin, who, when he was a younger man, would absolutely steal your girlfriend.
He was actually he was a good-looking guy when he was younger, but
and I mean, when he was older, by the time he died, he had a fantastic mustache going. He had that going for him. So, Stalin dies pretty early on in the movie after they sort of set up, they set up. Here's the Soviet Union. Here's the state of things in the Soviet Union right now, and then Stalin dies, and then it's about the chaos and the struggle for power between the committee members.
Yeah, it was the
committee chairman.
All the committee chairs, vying for power to become the next head of the party.
Yep.
And all of them pretending like they're torn up over Stalin's death.
Yeah, none of them really like Stalin.
Yeah.
In fact, this is kind of a spoiler because I think it might ruin the joke a bit, but to give you it's not really a big thing, but to give you an idea, one of the chairmen, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was Nikita Khrushchev, right? It was Steve Buscemi?
Yeah.
Who went home and told his wife all the jokes he told and which ones Stalin laughed at and which ones he didn't. And in the morning, she's going back over it with him.
He'd been drinking, so he didn't necessarily remember.
You're right. So that he knew going forward which jokes to tell to keep Stalin happy and on his side. because that's just the state of things at the time.
Well, yeah, like one of the party members, he slips up and mentions somebody who Stalin had executed, and Stalin's just about to execute him for even mentioning his name until someone diffuses the situation. I think Khrushchev diffuses the situation, and later he's like, I don't even remember who's dead and who's alive. How am I supposed to keep this straight?
Right.
But anyway, so we'll get into more of that later in the spoiler section. But yeah, it's just the crazy antics of everyone trying to like one up each other and
Just
bump everyone else off.
I mean,
so they can become be in charge.
Being the first one to like greet and console Stalin's daughter when she shows up, like little petty shit like that. Being wanting to, when everyone's leaving Stalin's estate or wherever it was he was at, because it wasn't at the Kremlin, right?
No, it was his estate at the.
Yeah, so everyone like trying to leave his estate, but trying to be the first car out of there.
Yeah,
it's just it's just this like real petty one-upmanship, and it's incredibly funny to watch.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of really funny dialogue in there too. One that everyone laughed at one point, Steve Buscemi, who plays Khrushchev, there's this one guy, he calls him Slim Hitler.
Yeah.
Because he's this little skinny guy with a mustache.
Yeah.
And he does kind of look like Hitler a little bit.
That was pretty great. Yeah. Don't want to ruin the punchlines of the jokes for you too much, because that's the reason to see the movie.
Right.
But it's an incredibly funny movie.
Yeah, and it's a dark comedy because most of the humor revolves around people trying to avoid being executed.
Yeah.
Or trying to. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the humor.
Yeah,
or trying to like set someone up to be executed or something. I mean, it's all like revolves around death and a lot of execution going on and disappearances of people going on in the Soviet Union at the time, and everything seems so over the top and ridiculous, but you got to imagine that there's an air of truth to a lot of it.
Well, there's, as it turns out from what the writers of the comics stated, there's quite a bit of truth in it. Some of it's embellished, but they mention how the actual events are so ridiculous that you probably can't even tell which ones are real and which ones aren't.
Yep.
Like, I could believe, this is at the very beginning, I could believe that guy working for that radio station actually had all the concert players like redo that whole concert. I could easily see that having happened.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as the thought of that is. So.
Well, I definitely recommend this movie. Great cast all around.
Excellent.
Steve Buscemi, he steals all the scenes, but also Jason Isaacs.
Yes.
Who's Marshall
Zhukov.
He is hilarious.
Yep.
In the movie. His introduction, when he first shows up, is just a spectacle to behold.
Yeah, don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty fantastic. His appearance in the movie, his initial appearance in the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, Field Marshal Zhukov is his credit. So, but yeah, that's probably all we could really get away with saying without spoiling it. So, definitely go see this movie. If it's playing near you...
If you have the means, I highly suggest it.
Yes. If it's playing near you, which it seems to be in a pretty widespread release now.
Yeah.
It took it long enough. Definitely go see it. Totally worth it.
Alright, so, spoiler warning.
Yep.
And,
We'll also try not to, like, ruin any of the jokes as best we can.
Well, so what Niall was talking about, you mentioned at the beginning, the radio guy, right? So what had happened is there was a concert, some classical music concert.
Playing Mozart, I think.
At the beginning, playing a concerto or something.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about classical music, so anyway, it was there's for a live audience in a theater, but it was also being broadcast over the radio. And Stalin calls up and says, "Call me back in 17 minutes." Or no, it wasn't Stalin. Well, yeah, it was Stalin. It says, "Call me back in 17 minutes." So he's like, "Yeah, sure," and he takes the number down. And he's like, that was Comrade Stalin. I have to call back in 17 minutes. And the guy in there's like, 17 minutes from when the phone rang, or 17 minutes from when you hung up? 17 minutes from when I said I'd call back in 17 minutes, I guess. What was that? I don't know.
Yeah.
This whole thing. So when he calls him back, he says, "I want a recording of the concert," because he'd been listening to it on the radio. He says, "Great, sure." He says, two men will come down at such and such time, and they'll pick it up. Great. It hangs up. "Please tell me we were recording that concert." No, we weren't. So he makes everyone stay. He tries to get as much of the audience to stay as he possibly can, because there was applause throughout, and he's afraid that Stalin would be able to tell that it wasn't the recording of the live event, and then he might be executed for it. So he's getting people to play, and then some people left, so they're pulling people in off the streets.
Random Russians.
The conductor faints or something, right? And he hits his head.
Yeah. And
out of nerves, so they go and find some other conductor in the middle of the night and yank him out of his apartment to come down and conduct it. And then the pianist, who hates Stalin because Stalin had her family executed, she was one of this. They have to pay her a bunch of money to stay and play and all this stuff. So they get the recording, and it's like taking longer than they want. And anyway, they finally hand it off to these soldiers that show up, but they do note that it was late.
Well, yeah, they say the lateness or the delay is noted, but then when they get it to Stalin's angry at the soldier anyway.
Yeah, he's like, "What'd you do? Walk it here?" And he like yanks it out of his hand.
Yeah,
but yeah, I could definitely see something like that happening in real life.
Yeah,
you know?
and one of the guy who is the second guy, the one who wasn't called on the phone for that radio station, is Tom Brooke, is the actor's name.
Yeah.
Who you might know him from Preacher. He plays the taller of the two angels. We haven't seen much of the second season, but I know he's in it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there was that whole arc with him as doing the magic show and.
Oh yeah. I remember that now.
I don't remember where.
It's been a while.
Some Indian casino somewhere. Anyway. Yeah, it's that guy.
He's pretty funny. He just has this really dry humor delivery.
And he has this constant look at his face, like he doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Around. Yeah, like, but like, it's this like comedy of errors. When Stalin has like a cerebral hemorrhage or something that evening, the two guards outside his room, they hear this thump, and someone's like, "Should we go in and check on him?" And the other says, "Should you just shut up before you get us fucking killed?"
Yeah.
And so they stand there all night long, and it's not till the maid shows up with Stalin's breakfast the next morning that he's discovered lying on the floor. And so, that led to his death. If they gotten to him in time, he might have been able to.
Yeah, I mean, they do find him before he dies.
Right.
He's unconscious, though.
The problem is all the good doctors in Moscow have been sent to the Gulag.
Because there was evidence that was drummed up from somewhere about them planning to poison Stalin. Same difference.
What had happened is all the evidence had come from the now head doctor at the hospital.
Yeah.
She had given them that evidence, but now suddenly she's the best doctor in Moscow, so, read into that what you will.
Yeah.
And so they round up all these, like, retired doctors or student doctors who are still in med school.
Yeah.
So not actually doctors, and, all they can do is declare them dead.
Yeah, a doctor has to be approved by the party, he has to be pronounced dead by doctor approved by the party, by the council.
Yeah.
And all the good doctors are gone. And, they say, well, what's everyone's thoughts on getting a bad doctor? And they say, well, if the old man finds out, he'll kill us. And you say, well, I mean, what's the harm? If he
revives him, he's a good
he's a good doctor.
If he doesn't, he'll never know.
Yeah. Like, that's how they're handling the death of the leader of their country.
Right. Also, I don't know if you want to. Well, I mean, they're in for spoilers. They already know. So when he had his collapse, he soiled himself, and so there's this running gag where everyone keeps like kneeling or putting their hand in the puddle.
Yeah.
By accident on this rug. Just like everyone like comes in and like accidentally kneel in it at some point.
Stepping it.
Or stepping it or put their hand in it.
That was really funny. That was a really funny running gag. But yeah, and Nolan's right. Steve Buscemi really steals every scene he's in. But I mean, Steve Buscemi's a great actor.
Yeah.
Like, that should not come as a surprise to anyone.
Right.
Yeah, it's just all the. I mean, you gotta imagine a lot of the dialogue in this was improv, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I know the director had said something. He didn't want anyone trying to do a Russian accent because he didn't want that to affect their improvisation.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's lines in there like, come on, Steve Buscemi made that up on the spot.
There's some lines where you're just like, you can't write that. That's something that just runs through your head in the middle of the scene. And there's a lot of that in this movie.
Well, like Jeffrey Tambor, he has this line. He assumes the role as the chairman.
Well, yeah, he was the second chair.
Right. And so there, when everyone turns on what's his name? Beria. Yeah, when everyone turns on Beria and they need him to go along with it, everyone's trying to butter him up, and Buscemi explains the plan to him, and he's like, "Is that why everyone's treating me like they want to fuck my sister?"
Yeah. That had the audience just rolling. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's just like all the people in this movie pretty much are all pretty funny people.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the guy playing Beria wasn't that funny because they have for the story they have to make him out to be the colossal piece of shit that he was.
Yeah, he really was in real life. He
was worse than Stalin.
He was worse than Stalin. It's a good thing that he was executed, because if he had been able to make himself chairman or premier or whatever, it would have been a lot worse than even when Stalin was around.
Yeah, he's the one who's head of the NKVD, the secret police. And so he was the one who was rounding up everyone on Stalin's lists, throwing them in the gulags, interrogating them, beating them, raping them, killing them. Yeah, there was a scene at the beginning where Stalin hands him off these lists. So he goes out to his officers and hands them the list. And he hands them one guy one. He says, you got to do both of them, but do her first and make sure he sees it and then kill him. And he hands out the next one and I forget what he... Yeah, he says something else along those lines, and the last one he hands off, he's like, "Yeah, just handle the rest." It's just so this is just any day at the office. He's just so matter of fact about it. Right. Well, when a bunch of these guys enter one of these apartment buildings, and everyone's looks out, and they're everyone just knows instantly as soon as these guys show up in front of the building what's going on. And they're going and rounding up certain people, and right. Yeah, it's dark. It's dark, yeah, but there's somehow they managed to make it comedic, and I think part of it is there's one part where they're going through Beria's headquarters, and there's all these people being tortured and executed all around him. But some of it's so ridiculous. They walk by, and he's completely ignoring all of it. He has it's so mundane to him.
And there's this part that like was kind of funny. Like he's walking along, and someone just rolls down the stairs next to him, just like rolls down these stairs, and it's like, nothing's going on, but it's just a funny like sight to behold.
It's a funny sight gag in the movie for sure.
Yeah,
and a lot of the humor comes from the absurdity of it all. Like it's something that's just so ridiculous and outlandish, you have to laugh at it.
Yeah, although there's some truth in it. And that stuff like that did go on.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but it's still outlandish.
Right.
Our Western sensibilities make it outlandish.
Yeah, so Steve Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs.
Or Jason Isaacs, not Steve Isaacs. Jason Isaacs.
Yeah.
His entrance as Marshal Zhukov was
he walk in, he's like, it says something about like the army's here, or you can't do a job right, you can call the army or something, and then he shrugs off his overcoat, and it's all in slow motion. He has like, his chest is just completely covered in metals, and they like rise up at once, and then they all fall down with this like clinking metal noise.
Yeah, and he's just like, he just walks with this swagger.
Yeah,
like he's just like the most important, biggest badass dude.
Like his dick is all the way down by his ankles, and he knows it. Like, and everyone around him knows it.
Yeah, it just. You mentioned you're wondering if it was in any way cathartic for him.
Yeah,
because his parents were Jewish immigrants who fled the Soviet Union.
Right.
When they were rounding up people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he has some of the best lines in the movie too. On top of that, he's only in it for like the last
half, maybe?
third, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's even a full half. It's like the last third of the movie. But he has some of the best lines in the movie.
Yeah. They shoot Beria, and he's like, "Well, gather around, boys. Take a look."
Yeah, just all right. There it is.
He's just got so much bravado. And he's like the manliest guy in the whole movie.
Right.
It's really pretty funny to watch.
Yeah, so I mean we've talked quite a bit about this movie. And cannot recommend this movie enough. This is probably the movie I've enjoyed the most so far this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
For me too. Avengers hasn't come out, Solo hasn't come out yet, so we'll see how that goes. I feel like I enjoyed this movie more than I'm going to enjoy Avengers, though. But Solo looks like it's treated like a heist movie, which I love. So, we'll see. But yeah, so far, this is probably my favorite movie I've seen this year. And we're a third of the way, or a fourth of the way through.
Yeah.
Here. So, all right. So go see Death of Stalin. If you find you have similar opinions on movies as we do, and you want to see some other things we might recommend or recommend you avoid, go check out the other episodes of the new Fangled Motion Picture Show. Let's see, immediately after this gets posted, or almost immediately after this gets posted, within 24 hours anyway, will be our review of Isle of Dogs, right?
Yeah.
So take a look out for that as well. Wes Anderson has hit peak Wes Anderson with that movie. So take that for what you will. If you see the movie, you'll understand. But that review is coming up. And also check out our streams. We've been streaming over on the Twitch. Twitch.tv/everything_is_bad. Just played through The Last of Us for the first time. Not the first time for Nolan I played. It was my first time.
Yeah, I had played through it before.
And we just finished the main game last week. This week, we're going to be doing the DLC for that. Moving on to some other games later on. We do that most Sundays. So check that out over there. And whenever I get around to editing and posting them, they get archived here on the YouTube. So you can go back and watch them all from the beginning. And yeah, so that's our other content. Take a look at that. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Do svidaniya.
Bye bye, Poroshki.